Hey there, this is Michael Kennedy, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode.
All right, guys, get into the film review. I'm really excited for this one. We're going to be doing another blood donor review. A final girl donor, Christina Tower, chose 2017's Happy Death Day, an overdue movie, in my opinion, even though I didn't see this movie until recently. I'll go first with my thoughts. I think it's fun. I don't think it's the best movie in the world. It's not even Christopher Landon's best movie to me. I still like Freaky more than that personally. But I have a good time with Happy Death Day. I think Jessica Rothe is great as Tree. I think she's a fun final girl. I haven't seen the second one yet. I own it. I'm going to watch it soon. I don't know if it's as good or not, but I have a good time with this one. But I do think, to me, I think this movie could have cut down the runtime maybe 5-10 minutes just because I do feel like like I've said in the past, kind of like with Hush, the middle kind of just gets a little monotonous to me doing the same thing over and over. But I still have a good time with it. Brian, you want to go next?
I absolutely love this movie. I think it's a blast. As I've said before, I'm a huge sucker for time travel movies. This one's no different. I think that it does a great job of straddling the line between comedy and horror. I think it does it perfectly. And I think it really taps into that Groundhog Day in a way that I've not seen since that movie released. And in fact, I like this just as much as Groundhog Day. That's crazy, huh? But this is the first time first time I actually saw Jessica Rothe in anything. And I think she absolutely killed it. This movie is so dependent on her and her performance. And I think she's super underrated as an actress. I think she carries this movie. This one also made me fall in love with Christopher Landon's writing. Since then, you mentioned it. I know we've reviewed Freaky and Disturbia, but so far I'm a huge fan of his scripts. And it started with this one. And I like Freaky. You guys talked about Freaky. Nico, you brought up Freaky. But I think that I feel about this the same way that, if I remember correctly, Dustin felt about Freaky when we reviewed it. Love it. Great choice, Christina Tower. Chef's kiss.
Swig of beer for the working man as well. Yeah, I freaking love this movie too, man. Like, this movie's so much fun to me. And honestly, I would advise seeing Happy Death Day to you because I feel like it almost enhances this film's experience, in my opinion. Having both of those, the knowledge of both of those. You guys mentioned Jessica Rothe. She's great. You mentioned the fact that the movie hinges on her. It's not quite, but it's almost a one-character movie. When I think of, like, I Am Legend or, like, Castaway, like, yeah there's some other characters in the movie, but, like, not really. Like, it's pretty much just Tree for the majority of the film, and you got to kind of go through her experiences with her. And I think they do such a good job with it. It's not your standard slasher, which I really appreciate. Almost the slasher stuff is not played super serious, which I think kind of helps this film. There's a couple times where, the chase scenes get a little long where I'm like, they're trying to take themselves a little too serious here. But other than that, small nitpicks to me. Love the script. Love everything about it. I had such a fun time with it, and honestly, I think these two work well as a double feature. Happy Death Day and then Happy Death Day to You. I do think. I mean, I like this one better, but I do think the sequel was really, really good. Yeah, man, I had great pick. I've been meaning to pick it. It's been on my. I'm gonna pick this, and then I ended up switching it to something else a few different times. Now, it actually happened with Freaky, if I'm not mistaken. I was like kind of weighing the two, and then I went with Freaky. But nope, I'm very excited. Glad it finally got picked, and it got picked by one of our listeners. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I love this movie. I watched it in January of 2023 for the first time and instantly fell in love with it. The sequel's another story to me. It's not bad, but it's nowhere near as good as this one. And to me, I get what you're saying. Like, if you watch them back to back, it works fine, but it just felt a little unnecessary to me. This one's a great concept and it's got very good comedic timing. It's like Groundhog Day meets Scream. It's been on my list to pick since I watched it, so I'm glad it finally got picked. Thanks, Christina.
Alrighty, guys. You got any more opening thoughts for you to jump into it? All right, go
Actually,
ahead.
Nico, yeah, Jessica Roth wants you to pick up the phone. Maybe call us sometime. And then if you happen to wake up and you forgot you called.
I'll tell her she's in the other room.
Okay, cool. If you happen to wake up and it's the same day over, just call me again. It'll be fine. All right, here we go.
Yeah, don't text Mike. You won't hear from him for like 6 hours. All right, anywho.
You'll get a thumbs up reaction, though.
Come on, man. I got a new job. We'll see how it goes. But don't hold me to anything. You know what I mean?
All right, let's do it. The film starts with Universal intro starting over and over as a nice homage to the film we're about to watch. Blumhouse, love him or hate him, has a fire opening as well. Tree wakes up on her birthday in a college guy named Carter's bed. She's disoriented and a bit disgusted with herself until her phone rings for 2 seconds from her dad. She gets dressed and asks for Tylenol. Carter introduces himself and is told not to tell a soul. His roommate Ryan barges in asking about a fine vagina as Tree takes the walk of shame. She walks past an emo guy, a climate activist, some folks getting blasted by sprinklers, and a frat doing initiation. She runs into her ex Tim, who wonders why she hasn't responded. Tree isn't a fan of Subway's footlongs or Tim's. She makes it back to her sorority house and is called out by Danielle, and she says she hopes she wore a condom. Tree asks Lori if she embarrassed herself last night, and from the looks of things, she did. Tree panics, realizing she's late for class as Lori offers her a birthday cupcake. Tree blows out the candle and throws it into the trash to Lori's disdain. Tree makes it to class, and we quickly transition to Danielle leading the sisters' meeting. Becky is scolded for eating breakfast and goes to walk away, but bumps into Carter, who spills milk all over her. He returns the bracelet she forgot and is called a douche. Rough out here for these nice guys. Tree ignores Dad's call again as she gets to the hospital. She and Lori have another tense moment as she boards the elevator to go fuck the married doctor, Gregory. Knock at the door is his wife, and Tree leaves, acting as if she's just a student getting help. The foot fetish gang is blessed as Tree paints her nails on screen, and Danielle barges in asking what time Tree is going to the party. Tree is walking to the party, listening to the voicemail from Dad, and a person with a baby mask stops and stares. Shout out to One Republic. She hears a music box play Happy Birthday and is a bit spooked. She walks to the box and hears a noise. She sees Babyface Killer and trash talks and threatens to call the cops. Babyface disappears and she walks away. The music box plays again, and Baby Killer drops down and chases her. She trips and falls until Babyface Killer appears over her, stabbing her to death. Brian, that's the opening set of scenes. What'd you think?
I still love Dustin calling them the Foot Clan. That shit cracks me up, dude. First of all, this Universal logo repeating 3 times, just brilliant. But also, it's fucking diabolical because I thought my movie was fucked up when I was turning it on. But yeah, so we're introduced to Tree here. Shout out to the writer and Scott Lobdell for the character arc with Tree, though, because when we meet her, holy shit, she's a bitch. And I love how this plays with all the tropes, because almost every horror movie that has the mean girl has her get killed. But this is the mean girl and the good girl in the same character. And her story arc and character arc are super drastic. I mean, those damn things aren't better. Never mind, that's inappropriate. Speaking of inappropriate, I love the dialogue right off the bat. Raunchy teen type dialogue, specifically Nico Chin's. I mean, Fivu's Ryan. He has a bigger role in the sequel, if I remember correctly. I've only seen it once. I'm not real sure. But the dialogue is just, it's realistic. I mean, it's how guys talk, like it or not. Hell, it's how girls talk, for that matter, in real life. It just is. Five-Vu, by the way, in one of, if not the greatest comic book movie ever made in Logan, and a ton of other stuff. Great actor. But fun fact here, when Tree tells Tim it's not like he has a foot long, totally improvised by Roth there. And Danielle, played by Rachel Matthews, awesome thing to learn that she's the niece of the director Christopher Landon, but also the granddaughter of the legend Michael Landon from Little House on the Prairie. And I also recognize Greg's wife, Stephanie, Laura Clifton, Emily, and the new guy. But last thing I'll say, and I'll shut up, The Mask. I didn't love it at first, but it grew on me. And after 2 movies, I actually like it now. Fun fact, Tony Gardner, who also designed the Ghostface mask, created it. And Landon says he needed a combination of something that would pass for a mascot on a college campus. I don't really buy that, by the way. But there was that both scary and funny at the same time. Plus, he was expecting a son at the time, so he had, quote, baby on the brain. And can I say, I love the moniker Babyface for the killer. I like Ghostface or like Scareface. It's absolutely perfect.
I love that the Universal intro, repeats itself. A nod to the movie we're about to watch, like Nico said. I thought that was really a nice touch. This movie has a lot of nice little, just that's nice. I appreciate that. I have a few in my notes. This man is talking way too much post one night stand. Dude, nope. And obviously we know he didn't have the one night stand. But to that point, we didn't know that. And he's talking entirely too much to try to get her to come back. That shit don't work, brother. That's not how it happens.
He's a nice guy.
I ain't gonna lie. I know. I have more on him later. But for now, what do we know? All we know is that she thought they hooked up, doesn't want to talk to him again. It'd be like that sometime. I would have been probably more rude to the global warming girl, not gonna lie. I mean, and that's a top-notch walk of shame outfit, though. That screams. If you see somebody on a Monday morning in that outfit walking around campus, no one has to say anything. You know what the fuck is up. I will say she gets stopped by Tim here. She's not wrong. One date does not make it where I have to text you back. That's not, nope, not how that works. But hey, maybe a goodbye text or something, but, we don't have to keep hounding her with text. We obviously know what Tim is, which I'll get to. She's definitely turns the bitch card on here, though, with her roommate. She's such a fucking bitch, man. And it really is hard to like her at first. Brian, you mentioned her being the bad girl and the good girl all in one. That's very true. But, you mentioned her, how the bitch girl is always on screen to die. Well, technically, she dies or is killed over and over and over again until she completes that arc of being a good girl and killing the killer, which I think is kind of fun. She just proves how much she sucks here by throwing away the cupcake that somebody made for her, sleeping with someone else's husband, knowingly doing so as well. I know that there's a weird power dynamic between professor and student and that, and I understand that, but she, at this point, man, she knows what's up. In my opinion, I will say the toy box there making the music, I thought was a nice creepy touch. I love this mask. I actually really, really like this mask. I may like it more than the Valentine mask. Kind of depends on my mood, I think, but that's the only one I can kind of compare it to, I guess. That young, chunky baby look, I guess. And I think this one is a little bit creepier, a little bit scarier. But that's my preference. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really like the Universal logo intro getting stuck on a time loop. That's a nice added touch. I didn't notice that the very first time I watched this. I think I started the movie, went in the other room to get something to drink, came back. So seeing it the second time, I really like that. Tree, she seems like a real nice girl. What a sweetheart. Heavy on the sarcasm there. What a bitch. Nico busting in and asking if he got the fine vagina always makes me laugh every single time. Aside from the bad roommate, Carter seems like a great guy. I mean, he has a They Live poster on his wall. Only the most wholesome, dateable men in the world have that. Me. Anyway. But by the way, Tree acts with Tim and then her roommate, and she's banging the married doctor. She sets up nicely for either a great redemption arc or to be the worst person in movie history. She's fine as hell, though, so the first time I watched this movie, I was really hoping it was the former, and luckily it was. Buddy popping out of nowhere like Randy Orton at the other end of the tunnel, that's a PSA. Ladies, always travel in packs at night. Some real sickos out there. Well, it's a solid open to the movie, but it gets so much better. Stole your punchline, Nico.
Back in Carter's room, reliving the day over, she grabs her clothes as Carter rambles on. He comments it's like she's been here before and sees a sticker that says today is the first day of the rest of your life. Ryan barges in on cue and Tree exits. She makes the walk of shame again, reliving everything she did the day before. She runs into Tim again and asks what's the date. She's confused and walks away. Back to the sorority house and same speech from Danielle. She's still at a loss, ignoring Lori and spaced out during the sorority meeting. She stares at the babyface mask and is detached. Same incident with Carter and the milk, and she chases after him. She asks for the bracelet, and now he's a little puzzled. She's back with Gregory in his office, and he lectures her on not falling in love with him. He kisses her, and the door handle shakes. Wife is there and introduces the two ladies. She's back in bed watching videos of her and her mom celebrating her birthday and being playful. She relives the moment with Danielle again in her room about the party and grows more confused. She walks to the party and hears the music box again. She immediately runs away and goes straight to the frat house. The door is locked, so she knocks on the door. She turns around and a person in babyface appears and she punches him. Danielle says, "Don't mess with the Kappa, bitch," and they celebrate. She and Danielle chat at the party about Lori, and Nick appears flirting with Tree. Danielle storms off jealous, and Tree follows him upstairs. She looks around the darkly lit room and freshens her hair. Babyface appears behind her, and she threatens to punch him again. She removes the mask, and it is Nick. He welcomes her to the Pleasure Dome and turns on some house music and strobe lights. He begins dancing as Danielle texts her. Another babyface appears behind Nick and kills him. Tree is over the music and tries to leave, but a bloody knife is revealed and a fight ensues. Babyface mounts her, and another frat boy leaves thinking they're fooling around, and then she's killed with a broken bong. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes. What do you think?
Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, bitches. Listen, Lori's last name is Spengler in this movie. That's got to be a Ghostbusters reference, right? I mean, I'm going to hope it is, and if we're ever lucky enough to have Christopher Landon on, I'm going to ask him. Truthfully, though, I mean, this is the exact same sequence of events, just barely a touch off from the first set of scenes, so it's kind of hard to even find something to say here. I did think it was hilarious, though. Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, like I said. My God, man. And I did like the shot when Tree is texting Daniel, showing, even more so how much of an awful person she is, while we see old dude killed in the background. Although, in the fight, no way, once we know who the killer is later, are they just getting right back up after being hit with that cricket paddle in this set of scenes. Jesus Christ, no chance. Fun fact, though, and I'll shut up, it's kind of like with Scream, when you know who the killers are, and you can pick up on all the stuff the next few watch-throughs. You definitely can hear. I mean, there are some big clues, like when Lori sees Tree entering the hospital, Lori tells her that the affair with Gregory is bound to have some pretty serious consequences. Hint, hint. And the second one comes later in the loop where Tree dies in a burning police car. The murderer used a birthday candle, like the one in Lori's cupcake, to light the car's leaking fuel. So there's another one. But also Danielle mentioning here that Lori isn't at the party either. And, how they're going to kick her out of the sorority next year. There's also some in the next set of scenes, too. But, yeah, that's all I had.
Bro, reliving a day would be pretty fucking terrible. Like, I know there's, that thought that, the best day ever would be nice to relive over and over again. Look no further than the Fairly Odd Parents Christmas special, Christmas Every Day. I know not everybody loves Christmas, but, a kid does. And eventually even he gets tired of fucking Christmas and wants it to be over. So
doing what to Christmas?
Come on, man. Relax.
I was just wondering.
Relax,
sorry, go
brother. Ahead. Yeah, man. I mean, that would really suck to just relive over and over again. And especially her case where, to wake up, another person's bed, stranger, thinking you had a one-night stand for about 3 or 4 of these days. That would suck. Now, deja vu being caused by masturbation to you makes sense. Hence why I never get deja vu, apparently. Unfortunately. Shake my head. Man, there's a moment here where I was like, she's such a bitch to her roommate. And I know it's a repeat of the same stuff, so I also don't have a lot on this set of scenes. It was tough to take notes on the exact same thing we just saw for the most part. But I do, we get the little glimpse where she's watching the video of her and her mom. You kind of forget in the first 20 to 25 minutes or so that does happen. There's that exists, and that's part of the reason why she's such a bitch. And so you start to already kind of turn the empathy on just a little bit. And I think they do a nice job of layering that in over time. Honestly, this guy getting all pissy about being punched when she walks into the door for her surprise party, get over it. That's a badass entrance, man. Punch me, I'll punch you, we'll be fine. I don't condone hitting women. I'm just saying, what a better way. I would just punch her back. It's all good, man. I'm just kidding. This man has a blow up with a sombrero on in the corner of his bedroom, brother. What are we doing, my man? That's a tough scene to walk into if you're a pretty lady trying to get with this guy. Will say, last thing, his dance moves are like chick repellent, dude. Like, mine are terrible. This man is terrible times 7, man. This dude is a nerd, and he ruined his chances. Not saying that she's like the ultimate prize, but hey, Tree's pretty great. Also, Tree's a bad name, so just throwing that out there. Sorry if your name's Tree.
Short for Teresa.
Nah, it's not great. Not great.
First time I saw this movie, I was so confused, not gonna lie. I didn't read the synopsis or anything, so it made no sense to me. Like, I thought my Blu-ray glitched and skipped back to the beginning. But it turns out it's a Groundhog Day scenario, which I really like. I like the tension when she arrives at the party, all the deja vu, and then seeing the person that killed her before when she opens the door and sees Baby Mask. Great stuff. And a hell of a right cross. Side note, Nico, when you called him Babyface earlier, I couldn't help but hear Whip Appeal in my head. Shout out to singer Babyface. When she goes into the room, it's a typical frat guy bedroom, but I did see something that stood out. Above the light switch, there's a small picture of a rooster and another one on another wall. Mike also has a picture of a cock on his wall, but it's a much different kind of cock.
I don't even like roosters, brother. I don't like roosters.
Sorry.
Come on, brother.
Good tension again when Nick.
Yeah.
Good tension again when Nick shows up wearing the mask again because he's creepy and silent, and you don't know if it's him or the real killer. And I like that. Even if she prolongs it by changing certain events, you can't stop fate. So I really like it.
All right, back at Carter's, and she wakes up terrified. Tree is very disoriented as she leaves Carter's, reliving the same day again. She's back in her room panicking as Lori asks if she's okay. Lori asks what's wrong, and Tree says she feels like she's losing her mind. She confesses she's lived through this day twice, and Lori looks at her like she is crazy. Tree predicts the rest of the day, and Lori doesn't take it seriously. She thinks Danielle put her up to this. Tree is terrified, and Lori says no one is trying to kill her. She suggests skipping class knowing how hard today is with her and what happened to her mom. Tree boards up her windows and tells Danielle she needs alone time. Tree goes to eat the cupcake but stops and looks for the frickin' remote. She finds a card and panics seeing the baby face spinning inside of it. Her TV shuts off and she's spooked. She turns the TV back on and notices the bathroom and closet door is open. She grabs a hammer and walks to the closet. No one is there and she hears a clinking noise in the bathroom. She walks to the shower and goes to pull back the curtain. But she's scared by the turning TV back on and the babyface appears again. Tree decks Babyface in the head with a hammer and she's killed with a knife stab. She awakes screaming and freaking out. She doesn't even change clothes this time and runs out the room. She's very disoriented, walking back, and Carter appears with her stuff. She hugs him tightly, begging for his help. Carter says this is symbolic. The killer knows it's your birthday. He asks who would want to kill her. She says Danielle, and he gets a little jealous she hooked up with another guy before meeting him. He confesses they didn't do anything, and she smiles in relief that he's a nice guy. She keeps naming off other people with motive, and Carter realizes she's kind of a bad person. Carter says she has unlimited lives, basically, to figure out the killer. Tree is back home and gets to work. She checks on Tim first, who she catches jerking it to guy-on-guy porn, realizing he's gay. She's killed and must start over, eliminating Tim from the list. She keeps on with the list and is drowned this time by Babyface. She and Danielle are walking, and a guy bumps into Danielle, who had a card in her books. Tree fights her, thinking it's her, but it's not, as she relives the day again. But she's naked this time, walking through the courtyard. The frat boys enjoyed the view. Tree is killed by a baseball bat this time, meeting up with some chick named Becky. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes. What do you think?
I got a little bit on this set of scenes, but and this is actually my favorite set of scenes right here. Actually, the third go around, how panic is setting in, and I love how Landon started to really hammer that home with the now shaky cam following her around. Just kind of showing that chaos, and also another hint who the killer is right here. I mean, her not being able to find the remote control and mentioning that Lori had it last. And then suddenly the killer is in her room with the TV going off and on. I mean, there you go. Sidebar again. I don't know how you get hit with the fucking hammer in the temple and then get right back up like it's no issue. Just throwing that out there as well. But I said this is my favorite group of scenes mostly because of this montage. Again, I love the effect Landon put on the fourth run through. This time with a blurred, almost drunk effect. Throwing us even further into that chaotic feeling. But it's just like Groundhog Day like that. And I can't really explain it. I know it's not good review talk. I just really love it. The song playing over the montage, somebody help me out with the name of that because it's pretty perfect for this. I know it's Demi Lovato, but that's all I know. I love the revelation about Tim, the undercover looking at Stephanie and Danielle's death. I thought that all that was fantastic. But even just on the other note, I mean, yeah, like her explaining everything to Carter is really where her character starts to shift to me. And it's really genuine. And here's that word again, cute, which I don't say much on here. But one fun fact, and it's a long one here, and that's what I was meaning by, and I'll shut up after this, but the scene where she walks through the quad naked had to be done quickly, obviously, given that it was being filmed on an active college campus. This presented the risk of people on campus possibly taking photos. But the crew took extreme precautions to clear away any potential onlookers, and in the end, they managed to do actually up to 3 takes. And even though they only filmed and show her face and bare back in the movie, Roth said in a 2017 interview that she decided to go totally nude for the scene in order to feel the same rush as her character. She called it a very, quote, liberating moment, and, quote, it was incredibly freeing. I think everyone fantasizes about what they would be like if you just kind of got to live life without any repercussions and do whatever you want, and what that bucket list would be. Not only did I get to play someone doing it, but I got a few of those moments, like the naked walk of glory. Not the walk of shame, the walk of glory. It was one of the most empowering experiences I've ever had in my life. And a huge part of that was that I trusted Landon so much, and to portray that in a way that I felt comfortable. The crew was incredible. End quote. Go ahead.
Question: they mentioned anything about a director's cut of this film? Just asking questions, man. That's all.
They did not.
Okay. Well, if that happens, let me know. Anyway, I do feel like the movie's done a really good job of setting up that it could be a few different people. Like, obviously, as we rewatch it, we know. But I do feel like they, lay it out where it could be a couple different people, because the very first time I watched this, I wasn't convinced it was Laurie, or I didn't have that in my head, at least at first. But when you know what's coming, this scene where she kind of like opens up to her roommate and tries to talk to her, be a little bit more sweet or nice, it's a little harder, right? Because we obviously know she has her mind made up of what's going on here. My advice to Tree from the jump was to not let the same thing happen again. So, like, yeah, you woke up in the same place, go home and hide or lay down or whatever. Don't repeat the same actions you did the day before. Like, find a way to stop that shit. I feel like that's at least one way to get control of what's going on. The film is played for laughs, so I don't think the killer stuff is effective in the way that a normal slasher movie would be, but it's still effective in a different way because the film is building up to how's she going to die this day. And I do think that's very effective, but it's not effective in a horror way, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like, the Jason Voorhees kills are coming, but how's it going to pull them off? How's it going to be creepy? It's really just, when's she going to die in this day? How is that going to be pulled off? Not so much like a creepy factor. I still think it's effective. You mentioned Carter being a nice guy. He is Mr. Nice Guy, man. Didn't take advantage of her, put her to bed, did the right thing. I appreciate that, Carter. That's a good job, man. His idea is actually good. It's to just keep dying until you figure out who your killer is. Why the fuck not? You got nothing else to do. You're basically Mario, except Mario, you only get 5 lives, or at least in the Super Nintendo version, the last time I played a Mario game. So after that, if you get more, I have no idea how that works. Look, man, Tim, that's a tough way to get outed, buddy. I can't think of a tougher way to get outed. But hey, man, they have a really nice, what I think is a touching scene later on that I appreciated. Walking around nude like this may be freeing, but it's wild girl behavior, brother. Like, I don't care what you say. That's insane times. That's all I'm saying. I will say Tree is, if this were a traditional slasher, she's an idiot. Like, she's a bad character as far as getting away from her killer. Like, she'd be dead in a heartbeat in a traditional slasher movie. So that's all I had.
Yeah, this is the most I have as well. Her third time living the day is very well done. She ramps up the panic and is much more freaked out, which she would be. Laurie gives her great advice. Take the day off. Don't leave your room. And she does a great job securing the place. You'd think that would work. Hearing Teen Mom 2 on the TV here brought back some memories. I used to have to watch that stupid show with my ex-wife. I hear Barbara saying, Keefa, and then Janelle yelling at her in my nightmares. Sidebar. But all her efforts didn't work. She still gets got. And this next time, she's much more freaked out. Great job progressing that. And then it's not like I took a dump on your mom's head. That's funny. That's a funny line. Reminds me of when Mike did take a dump on himself on my porch.
Come on, man.
And then
every fucking week.
Sorry, brother. Love you. And then when she's telling Carter, about her chain of events, he says busy night. That always makes me laugh. We don't condone slut shaming, but we can joke about it. That's funny. Nice touch having her show a look of endearment to Carter when she realized that he was a gentleman and didn't take advantage of her. It was also funny that her response to him being appalled that she spat on an Uber driver was to say nobody's perfect. Well, spitting on an Uber driver, that's the furthest thing from perfect, almost. Nice little filler montage to show the story progressing and her checking off suspects. I like that. And then hilariously unfortunate that she killed Becky by mistake with the Jose Canseco bat. Tell me she didn't pay money for that, but then ended up getting killed herself. So I like this set of scenes a lot.
All right, Tree wakes up with a real bad headache, this time from baseball bat to the noggin. She passes out into Ryan's arms and wakes up in the hospital. She sees Babyface Killer walking to her, but quickly realizes it's just Carter. He tells her it's Monday the 18th, and Greg appears creepily after the lights flicker. Greg is flabbergasted by her x-ray, saying she should be dead from the trauma she sees. He assures her she's safe here, and she lies back down. She asks for a soda and seizes the moment to escape. He returns and she's missing. Tree sneaks through the hospital and looks for keys in Greg's office. She finds a Babyface mask and is spooked. She hears voices from behind the doors and proceeds cautiously. Greg is killed by Babyface and chase ensues. She makes it to the parking garage and finds his car, but must hide as Babyface enters. She's seen and chased again. Tree hits the key fob and makes it to the car. After a minor squabble and backing into a beam, she speeds away. Tree celebrates, thinking she did it, until the red, white, and blue lights of the popo turn on behind her. She pulls over and the officer has her turn the engine off. Tree has no license or registration. She tells him of the person trying to kill her. Tree says she's drunk, so she'll be locked up in a jail cell. He says she's under arrest and turns around so she can be handcuffed. She's put into the back seat and suddenly the cop is ran over by Babyface Killer. Tree panics, realizing she's stuck. Tree asks Babyface who it is, what they want, and to reveal yourself, you pussy. Killer walks back to the car but drops a lit candle on the ground into the leaked gas, exploding the car she's trapped in. Tree wakes up again in Carter's, silencing him. Tree takes a bunch of Tylenol, asking for water. Tree tells Ryan if he refers to girls as fine vagina, he and his hand will have a long relationship together. Relatable. Carter asks about her dream, screaming, and she says she was dying again. She leaves, saying she hates the sticker. Carter chases her down, asking to hear her story. They walk through the courtyard, and she predicts everything that happens. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes. What do you think?
Listen, what a fucking transition from that last set of scenes into this one with that baseball bat hit and her falling down onto the bed for the next day's wake up. Just phenomenal. And it's just seamless work from Landon and I guess cinematographer Toby Oliver, the visual effects editor Christopher Martinez from Ingenuity Studios. Just great work, I think. And I like how we kind of venture off the path a little bit here from the first half of the movie and how Lobdell's script really starts to say, okay, second act starts and we start to really progress the mystery. I love the rolling blackout hitting with her at the hospital and then Greg just popping up. Definitely to give us that red herring along with her finding that mask, only to take that immediately away with him being killed in front of her. But also to give us that plot point of the fact that these loops are paying a toll on her body physically. And I thought that was very well done. What I really like about this is during the chase, you can tell that it's definitely a guy chasing her this time. And I definitely noticed that. And I was like, man, there better be a fucking explanation for this or I'm calling bullshit on this movie. And guess what? we got the explanation, and it made me love it. It made me love it even more. Spoiler alert, the cop getting hit by that car is my favorite kill of the movie. It doesn't even matter that he had zero awareness on a long road with zero other cars because it was so awesome. I didn't even care. Same with yet another fantastic transition with the zoom in on the fire in her eyeball to being back in the bed the next morning. And I named off those people earlier, but I don't know who exactly is responsible for these transitions, but whoever it is, as the kids say, hey, he fucks. Go ahead.
Nice, old guy. Anyway, she gets smacked in the fucking head with a baseball bat, which was, like you mentioned, a great transition. But I guess I just didn't think that stuff could carry over from the day to day. And this one does, because she wakes up with a massive headache. I mean, obviously, I know that she's getting weaker and that's touched on, but I guess up to this point, I thought, every day I woke up, nothing carried over, but it does carry over some here. I will say the doctor that I'm having an affair with, not so sure that's the guy I want taking care of me. Just throwing that out there. It's a weird conflict of interest, especially because his dumb ass is whipped. He fell for the oldest trick in the book. Get me a soda? Yeah, I'll go get you a soda. Bitch, what the fuck? She just tried to leave. What the fuck you think she's doing, man? I don't feel bad for him at all. He sucks. I will say this hospital chase scene is probably the most typical standard slasher stuff in the film. It's probably the most boring part. Nico mentioned some of the middle where it gets a little drawn out and monotonous. I think it's, these parts that do, in my opinion. Everything up to this point has been pretty originally written. And some of this chase scene stuff, I'm like, I just don't think the movie necessarily needs too much of it, personally. I love her in the back of this cop car. She's fucking hilarious here. I know she's in a stressful situation, but I actually think it's pretty funny and it's played for laughs. Last thing I have, the dropping of the birthday candle to kind of light everything up, I thought was a really nice touch. And in hindsight, like Brian mentioned, when you rewatch it, makes all the sense in the world. That was a chef's kiss touch that you don't see the first time. I know it's her birthday, but you don't see it the first time, but the reasoning why now you definitely do, because we know who the killer is. So I think that was a very nice touch. Go ahead.
Yeah, when she wakes up here and tells Carter that his plan sucks, I really got Edge of Tomorrow vibes just from the concept. That's another solid movie.
That movie is so great.
I do too. Shout out to Emily Blunt and that weird Scientologist that's in it.
He's great too.
Yeah, in that he is. I like him. I just don't like him personally, so I just have a hard time liking his giving him praise. But anyway.
Well, that's almost every Hollywood actor for me.
Great added touch, having her injuries from all the previous deaths carry over. Makes you think that one of these times is going to be permanent. Big time oh shit moment when she finds the baby mask in Dr. Douche-Canute's desk. But an even bigger plot twist when he gets stabbed from behind. Who's the damn killer? So I like that they're constantly throwing us off their trail. Kind of stupid that she stood in the same spot in the parking garage. Didn't move at all. Just kept clicking the key fob and it finally chirped. I mean, if it was going to chirp from where she was standing, it would have done it on the first attempt. So that actually bothered me a lot. Great drama, though, as she's getting into the car and escapes. The interaction with the cop, funny as hell. She's quick on her feet and realizes in jail she's safe. But then, damn, that cop got plowed. Love that. When she wakes up the next time, she's so much more charming. I love her character development. I'm still loving the movie.
Yeah, just going to clarify for Brian, if you're an actor or an actress and you want to come on our podcast, we like you. But the rest of them, we don't like you. All right, but anywho, we're in a diner now having a nice meal until Tree lets one rip. He tells her about his strained relationship with his dad. She confesses her and her dad's relationship is strained as well after her mom's passing 3 years ago. Tree starts to get sentimental and hates the realization of the person she's become and her mother not being proud of the person she is now. Tree doesn't think she has many chances left, admitting she's weaker and weaker every time she wakes up. She sees on the news a killer named John Toombs who has killed 6 female victims. Tree runs out and back to the hospital. She tells the nurse to call the police he's going to escape. She gets the axe from behind the glass and enters his room. No one is in the bed and we see the officer dead. Babyface killer reveals himself and shoots the nurse dead pursuing her. Carter tackles John, saving her. She goes to shoot him but no bullets. John snaps Carter's neck and chases after her again. They make it to a spooky area and she blindside attacks him with a crowbar. She realizes if she kills John, Carter won't return. She runs upstairs and he pursues after her again. Tree is at the top with a noose around her neck, leaping to her death. She wakes up with a kinked neck and hugs Carter for saving her life. Tree is vibrant, excited to see Carter at lunch, taking his pillow. She signs a petition, warns the others of the sprinklers, and gives the frat boy a pillow who passes out. She tells Tim she knows he doesn't like girls, and love is love, and find him a fine piece of man-ass. She slips away and is back at the sorority house. She tells Danielle she didn't hook up with Carter, but if she survives this day, she's going to have his babies. She talks to Lori now and apologizes about being a bad roommate. Tree tells Lori she wants to hear about the mystery guy as well. She meets with Dr. Greg and ends things with him wanting to be a better person. She tells him to have the balls to leave if he doesn't want to be faithful, shooting the bird, saying she dropped his class. Tree sits down at the meeting with a bunch of food as well and encourages others to eat. Tree takes Becky's chocolate milk and pours it all over Danielle, who runs away. Tree kisses Carter and asks if he'll take her out for her birthday, and he of course agrees. All right, Brian's the next set of scenes, and the next set is the end. What'd you think?
Another change of pace with this group here, which honestly makes me do nothing but fall more in love with this movie. I mean, we see Tree's character arc start to come back down with the moment at the diner with Carter and finally learning about her mother and having her tell that story about when she was a kid and that whole self-realization that she has about her not being a good person. You know, it was us getting to see her grow up basically in one scene. We're also introduced to Toombs officially here, Rob Mello, and it escalates quick as fuck, though. I mean, she immediately goes to the hospital, and then it's just fucking balls to the wall. You know, and then we get the mask reveal to who we think is the real killer, and we're like, oh, okay, fine, it's Toombs, okay. And we get another fantastic kill with Carter's neck twist. I mean, holy shit, that was great. Great effects there from Ingenuity Studios again, the entire art department. That, and honestly, her suicide from the bell tower, I thought was done great as well. What I love so much about this set of scenes and this loop is you think that it's the last one. Like, it builds it up with her fixing everything. It's heartwarming. It's everything you'd want. No way that they'd pull the rug out from underneath you and give you the old dick twist, does it? Well, we'll see here in the next one. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, hey man, I love this scene at the diner. You know, but when she's farting around you, it means one or two things. She loves you to death, you're her guy. Or two, you're in the deep end of the friend zone. There's no in between, brother. It's one or the other. You're either her person or her bestie, that's a tough deal. If that's not what you're looking for anyway. Nothing wrong with it if that's all you want. I will say, she, you know, her kind of like opening up to Carter, which, by the way, he doesn't remember any of this like repeat stuff from day to day. It's kind of, you know, you mentioned it being like a Scream and Groundhog Day. There's almost a little bit of 51st Dates in here too, man. We have to like keep reminding people, or at least Carter, where it's like, oh yeah, okay. But yeah, she flat out says she's not a good person, which I've been waiting for her to say. Like, you know, maybe this is karma, and I don't think that it is or that it's justified, but it's certainly something along like the self discovery route that you have to find. You know, I'm not sure how she like immediately jumped to the conclusion that the killer was her like doctor lover person. Like, I don't know how she came up with that. It kind of felt like a reach, in my opinion. I will say this hospital chase scene is much better than the last. It includes a neck snap kill, which I really thought was nice because we don't have a lot of those like fun kills in the movie, in my opinion. I will say she farted around him and then she hung herself for Carter. That's love. That is the man of her dreams right there, brother. I mean, you're not going to get any more committed than that unless you're Jackie Kennedy. So that is ride or die to the extent that I've only seen from Jackie. So anyway, I will say they do a really good job here, like this montage of like her being the nicest person ever. That doesn't make up for everything you've done. Like, yeah, you have to fully put the meaning into it. And she's definitely trying. But, you know, like you mentioned, Brian, you kind of think, all right, it's going to be enough. You know, it's going to happen here. It's going to be the end. And then we come to find out, obviously, well, I'll save it. But I do like seeing her finally be her true self, which I think is a good person, a nice person, just kind of needed to snap out of her funk. which we know why she hasn't. It's because of the death of her mom. And so that was definitely weighing heavy on her. And I like that we get a little bit more of that in the last set of scenes. We dig a little deeper. So I thought it was a really effective set of scenes to kind of set up the true ending anyway.
Yeah. I could have gone my whole life without hearing Jessica Rothe fart. But here we are. Great epiphany from Tree realizing she's a shitty person. While she looked hot as fuck holding the axe, mind you, I'm a woodchopper from way back, she didn't clear that room worth a damn before she entered it. She would make a horrible cop. Carter's neck getting snapped was a shocker. Poor guy didn't deserve that, and that was a great kill. Great tension here as she's running away, and a great way to show that she's changing as a person by having her be selfless and take a death just to save Carter. Not sure if she needed to hang herself, though. Like, that was a pretty extreme way to go. Her spanking Carter's roommate and saying "fine vagina out," that was funny as fuck. I think I love this girl, I'm not gonna lie. Love seeing her make amends and become a good person, kind of right her wrongs. And then Carter gets the girl. Atta boy, I'm ready for a hell of a finish here.
Yes, sir. Here we come. Tree meets with her dad, who is about to leave the restaurant. She apologized for being late, and the two share a heartfelt moment over missing Mom. She admits the running and hiding have made her miserable. She tells him she's sorry for hurting him and she loves him. They embrace as he wishes her happy birthday. Tree gets suited up for battle at the hospital and puts a blade to the officer's neck. She takes his gun and tells him John is going to escape and go get help. She enters John's room, ordering him to open his eyes. The safety is on and the gun doesn't fire. He chases her into the hall and puts a knife to her throat. Fight ensues and John says he likes her. She's feisty. The power cuts and she appears behind him with the gun, shooting him dead. She's back home and lights the candle on the cupcake with Carter. She blows it out, saying she's wishing for tomorrow. Plot twist, she wakes up in Carter's dorm room again. John wasn't the killer. She's in disbelief, freaking out. She runs out and is back in her room. She tells Lori she's going away as far as possible. Lori offers her the cupcake and Tree has an epiphany. She died in her sleep. She says Lori is the killer. The cupcake is poison. Flashback montage of the setup. It's always been Lori. Tree tells Lori to prove it and eat the cupcake. She refuses and Tree threatens to take it to the police. Lori locks the door and admits she knew Tree was sleeping with Greg. She was jealous of him picking Tree over her. Lori asks how she figured it out and the two fight. Tree grabs the cupcake and shoves it into Lori's mouth. Eat it, bitch! Tree grabs the chandelier and kicks Lori out the window. Tree is exhausted from the experience and it cuts to the news of Danielle hating on Lori on the news. Tree talks to her dad saying she's fine. Carter invites Tree to crash at his place and returns her bracelet. He says her scenario reminds her of the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, and she doesn't know who he is somehow. How the hell does she not know? Didn't she see Zombieland? Next morning, Tree wakes up and Carter tricks her, but it's a new day. She attacks him playfully and he mounts her, and they start kissing. Ryan is pissed he must stay in a stanky car again, and the film ends with a close-up of the sticker on the door. Brian, what'd you think about the ending?
Nico, you just about made my head explode by insinuating that the only place that people should know Bill Murray from is fucking Zombieland. But anyway.
No. I only brought that up because a little girl didn't know who Bill Murray was.
I know. Okay, yeah, you're right.
I love Groundhog Day. That's a
and
great
you love
movie.
Caddyshack. Go ahead, Brian.
Nico talking about movies that he's seen is a biggest change in this podcast from 5 years ago. I love it. I love it so much.
Honestly, when
Just-
we
it
did our
warms my
mailbag episode and they were like, what else do you want to achieve as a podcast, or what's our proudest achievement? Honestly, it's just Nico watching more movies. My life's complete.
Nico has seen 380 something movies. That's just, to me, I love it.
Hey, if anything we've learned from this podcast is that the society needs to adapt, is bullying works. Go ahead.
There you go. There you go. Mike's over there like, I got one earbud still in. Very touching scene at the start of this with her dad. Phenomenal acting from Roth here, I think. Sorry, I wish I didn't look up at the camera right there. Let me start over. Very touching scene at the start of this with her dad. Phenomenal acting from Roth here, I think. Very touching, very emotional, very powerful. Her dad was in nothing that I've seen before, but he was Cal Hooks in Jeepers Creepers 3, one of Nico's favorite movies. I believe he likes it better than the OG, he said. But like I mentioned last set of scenes, I love the twist with her waking up the next day after sharing that cupcake with Carter. That shot, by the way, mirrors the final scene of 16 Candles. So I'm sure that's not an accident either. I love John Hughes films. I've said that before. But yeah, so fun fact, and I'm glad I found this because it answers a question that I had about the second one here. But the original ending actually featured Tree succumbing to her accumulated injuries after she kills Lori, her real killer. She's being treated for her injuries by her professor's wife before being murdered again by her as revenge for sleeping with her husband, thus entering another time loop. The test audiences reacted furiously to this ending, feeling betrayed that the protagonist, after becoming a better person, could not break free. The ending was conceived as a way of leading the viewer to believe that it was never going to end. And it was scrapped and reshot to the current theatrical ending as a result. But the sequel, this is the thing I didn't understand at first, but the sequel ignores this new ending because it opens with the scene where Ryan catches Tree and Carter kissing in the bed. And Carter tells him to get out. And if you're watching this and you're wondering why there was no explanation ever given why Tree got stuck in this time loop in the first place, it is given in the sequel. Although I kind of like not knowing it, to be honest. I kind of like it just being up in the air. But anyway, that's all I had. Great ending. Great movie.
Yeah, I really like the scene with her dad. Like, I think it adds weight, heart, levity to the film. Really completes her character arc, in my opinion. And obviously, we get a little bit of a blue ball thing here, right? Like, she's put it all together. She's finally figured it out. She has some real touching moment. Finally opens up about the death of her mom. Just really good, deep character work stuff. Kills her, quote unquote, killer. And then that's not the case. Wakes up same day over again, which would make almost anyone lose their mind. And she finally figures it out that it's Lori for all the reasons that she starts to put together in her head. And again, the first time I ever saw this, I was like, wow, that really was there all the time. It does feel like Scream. Like you guys have mentioned, like, yeah, of course it's Billy and Stu. Oh, of course it's Lori. Like, once you think about it, it all makes a whole lot of sense when they lay it out. And I like their fight. I think it's really good. I think it's justified. I love "Eat it, bitch." That's a great line. Then shoves a cupcake in her mouth. Thought that was really good and pushes her out the window. Really well done. I enjoyed it. The ending is good. Carter we finally get to see a nice guy fucking succeed, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to all the nice guys because I'm not one of them.
Yeah, I was about to say, why you celebrating? None of us are. So.
Come on, Nico's a great guy.
Yeah, that's true. I think if any of us are, it's Nico.
Yeah, I mean, Tree's just a little too young for him, you know? This is what happens. That's what I said.
Okay. Recent.
What?
Emotional lunch with her dad here. Great way to level out the emotions here before the finale. And then bold-ass strategy to have her put a knife to the cop's throat. Probably could have been smarter about that. And why does he need to go get help? He has a fucking walkie-talkie. He could just radio for help. We finally see a final girl knee a villain in the balls. I've been calling for that for years. It's crazy they don't try that more often. It didn't really help, though. He ragged all her ass into the wall like she was nothing. The look of panic on her face when she woke up and had the same day again, that was great. But at the same time, I kind of wish that was the end. Like, just like in wrestling, if you have too many false finishes, it kills and it waters down the real finish. But the cupcake revelation was great, and Lori being the real killer makes much more sense, so I do like it. I just maybe tidied up a little bit. Great final showdown between the two roommates that included a cooter kick, if I'm not mistaken. Like that. But Carter actually gets the girl this time. Like, for real. Hell yeah, dude. But her not knowing who Bill Murray is or what Ghostbusters was, that's a total bummer. Maybe I don't love her. I don't know. Carter's prank the next day is the funniest shit of the whole movie to me. That's 100% something I would do. Like, to be in the same position when she woke up just to prank her. Hell yeah, got you, bitch. But Nico, I gotta ask though, why does your car smell like Hot Pockets and feet? Anyway, great ending to a damn fun movie.
Come on, man.
I don't eat the Hot Pocket. All right.
Oh,
All right.
man.
How many times did y'all call me that guy? This 3 times at least.
I never did, Nico. I want you to remember that, buddy. I just said you like old women. That's all.
You didn't. All right, let's get into social media comments and questions. First one we got is from Missy. We're on Instagram. Missy Hutchinson Wall commented, "I didn't think I'd like this, but ended up loving it. Very fair, very fair." And a teammate of the show, Kevin Scanlon, he commented, "It's Groundhog Day meets late 90s, early 2000s slasher. I had a lot of fun with this one." I agree with you, buddy. I think we all agree. I think we're all in this together. Brian, you got the old book of faces pulled up?
I do. Shanna Turner said, nice little movie, really enjoyed it. And the one who picked this movie, Christina Tower, sent in that she enjoys this movie so much. The cast is great. The story, though somewhat familiar, is fun. It was one that she saw the trailer for and thought it looked fun. She threw it on with her husband before bed, thinking that they would only watch a few minutes, but instead stayed up way too late. Yeah, you did. Because it was such an enjoyable movie. Thank you, guys. I hope everyone enjoys the movie as much as we did.
All right. I've got X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, pulled up. We have 2 on there. Anita Russell said, saw this one in theaters, was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed it, and even knowing the endings, can still have fun with it. Sean, the Glee Man, what's up, Sean, said, just watched this one last month. Way more fun than I was expecting and definitely has high rewatchability. Completely agree.
Happy Death Day had a budget of $4.8 million. And worldwide in its theater run grossed $125 million. Pretty solid fucking success there. Hence, Happy Death Day to you. And supposedly, maybe another movie, question mark, coming? I've read that a couple different places. We'll see. Great success with the first one. Very nice. Great success.
Well, I saw Happy Death Day a couple weeks ago in theaters for when Blumhouse, reshowed some of the movies during October, and it opened with Jessica Rothe and Chris Landon talking. They said, we want to make a third one. Y'all just go at Jason Blum on social media and tell him to make it. So I guess we're just waiting on Jason Blum.
He'll do anything.
We got to make that 19th Insidious movie before
I
we get
just
the third
want to
one of
know
these.
what the hell the greenlight process is at Blumhouse, because this movie's awesome, but they pumped out so much bullshit. It's just mind blowing.
I know it needs to be like the other movie studio, A24, and just pump out just literally everything. Just approve every script.
No, Blumhouse does.
Everything.
Blumhouse, whatever. A24 is selective. They only put out the finest quality.
Very classy.
I love them, but there's some
very-
stinkers in there somewhere, brother.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, there are some stinkers. The front room is terrible. All right, Brian, Dustin, y'all got any fun facts?
I got a few. So you mentioned Tony Gardner designed the mask. The original idea for the mask was a pig mask, a la Saw. So that's weird to think about. The original script was written by Scott Lobdell, included material intending to make the film R-rated. Some scenes involved grislier death depictions that were entirely altered by the film's director, Christopher Landon. I'm kind of glad they went this direction. It worked fine. The script was allegedly written in 2007. It was going to star Megan Fox and was to be produced by Michael Bay, which may explain the name of the school in the film, Bayfield University. I don't know. When I think Michael Bay, I hear Linkin Park playing in my head. What I've done.
Yes.
The film.
That explosion with the police car was about the only thing I could think of that Michael Bay would have
The
left in it.
recycled explosion they've used in multiple films. The film, which is set in New Orleans and was filmed on the campus of Loyola University in New Orleans, has the killer wearing a mask, which is nearly identical to King Cake Baby, the official mascot of the New Orleans Pelicans basketball team. Johnson Berticelli, the mascot's creator, sued Universal Pictures and Blumhouse for copyright infringement, demanding half of the movie's profits. The lawsuit was settled in 2021. Damn. And then the last one that I have is that Jessica Rothe was in La La Land, great movie, with Jenna Curtis, who was in Once Upon a Time in Venice, with Bruce Willis. Oh, and David Arquette.
Nice. The only one I've got left here is the After Prom Night, 2008, the remake, and The Final Girls from 2015. This is the third slasher film ever to receive a PG-13 rating. Is that true? Because it doesn't sound true. Anyway, it may be true, may not be true, but it doesn't sound true. But what is true is you can find Prom Night and The Final Girls reviews at don'tgoouthere.com.
Damn right.
Hell yeah, brother. All right, jumping to our favorite kill, least favorite kill in the rating. Dustin, you want to kick us off so you can jot off our scores
Yeah, I'll
down?
go for it. Favorite kill. See, normally I'm a sucker for people getting hit by cars out of nowhere, but the birthday candle car explosion was just too good. The birthday candle is a great irony and a great Easter egg. Then it also gives us our one allotted F word for a PG-13 movie. I love it. Least favorite kill, I don't know. They're all pretty similar. I guess if I had to choose, I'd pick the first one. I think it had the least amount of visibility / gore / creativity. And as for my final thoughts on the rating, look, I love it. I recently told friend of the show, Aaron Cabrera, that my rating of movies is a pie chart. It's broken up into how well it's made, how well it's acted, how good the story is, and how much I enjoy it. Enjoyability is a big factor. So this one isn't necessarily the best story, but it's creative, very creative, and it checks every other box. If you're going to make a PG-13 horror movie, do it right. Do it like this one. I give it an 8.
All right, I'll go next. Favorite kill for me is Lori. Eat it, bitch, and kicked her out the window. I really enjoy that. Least favorite kill is Tree getting drowned. I don't know, just that little bit of montage. I know the Demi Lovato song is cool, but that's where it starts just getting a little bit monotonous for me. I think that movie is fun, definitely rewatchable. It's just not my particular favorite kind of horror movie, but I do have a good time with it. I was hoping to meet Jessica Roth at Spooky Empire. She was originally scheduled to be there, but she couldn't make the new date, so I was bummed about that. Movie is fun. It's a good time. I give it 7.5.
I'll go now. Best kill was cop kill, being hit by the car. My least favorite was really none of them, just because a lot of them were off screen. But really, my only complaint about this movie is the fact that it's PG-13 and doesn't really have many gory kills like Dustin was mentioning. But honestly, it doesn't even hardly affect this to me at all. And if that's my only complaint, that's going to get a high score. And I love this movie, so it is a 9 for me.
Hell yeah.
My favorite kill is actually the neck snap. I don't want to see Carter die on screen, but I thought it was a cool kill. Lori's definitely an honorary recommendation there. I don't really have a least favorite because, like we've mentioned, the PG-13 rating doesn't really allow for a bunch of good kills, so I think those are the only two that really stood out for the ones I mentioned. I love almost everything about this movie, man. I love the pacing of it. I love the idea of like Groundhog Day, but in a horror setting. I think it works really, really well. And Jessica Roth is great. Like I mentioned, one character film for the most part. There's some other fun stuff in here, but it's mostly just her and that character's arc. And, you're following it from start to finish. I think it's really, really good. A whole lot of fun. And I love the mask. I love the music. It feels modern, which you don't get sometimes. It feels like an ode to slashers in a way, but it also has that really modern feel that sometimes I'm just in the mood for. I'm not going to lie. I feel like Nico sometimes, like, I don't want to watch these 1974, 75 movies. Give me something modern. So I completely understand where you're coming from sometimes, Nico. And I think that bumps the score up. Enjoyability and rewatchability bump the score up. I can't believe I'm doing this. Second week in a row of giving a really high score to something. I'm giving this a 9. Let's go.
All right. That gives us a composite score of an 8.375. Internet Movie Database has it as 6.6. Rotten Tomatoes, 71%. Letterboxd, 3.0. So we're a little bit higher, but that's okay. We know what we're talking about.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Let me shout out these blood donors, and I'll announce our bonus for next week. We appreciate all of our blood donors. I can't stress that enough. Legendary blood donor Dana Tucker. We really appreciate you, Dana. Final girl donor, shout out to Christina Tower and Happy Death Day. This was a fun review. And the last final girl donor we have is Jenny Conway. We'll be doing her movie in a couple weeks. Excited for that. Camper Level Reoccurring, Nina, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Alex Seligson, Steve Schmidt, Michelle Mirza, and Chris Manley. Camp Council Reoccurring, Edward Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Brooke Maley, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davis from the Too Close to Home podcast, Dana Tucker, Cole McAlexander, and Max K. We really appreciate y'all. We can't stress enough. It takes a huge burden off of us to help us pay these bills. We appreciate y'all listening, and we'll be back next week.
Phil Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Just want to remind everybody,